Do you still feel you're the most trusted name in news? Because I have to say, from what I've been hearing on these phone calls, I don't know about that. I mean, we got a lot of recordings that indicate you're not really that independent of a journalist.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. So everybody, in light of that, I think what we'll do is we'll set up a new system, and we'll be back with you. We'll do the rest of the call a little bit later.
We're going to release those recordings today at 7 o'clock, so stay tuned. It's going to be fun.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, you too. So,
Promo code Patriot. Promo code Patriot at checkout at InfoWarsStore.com during Cyber Week in the first week of December 2020 will get you an additional 10% off on the already giant savings store-wide of 30 to 60% off with free shipping. Now, this is undoubtedly the biggest sales of the year. It's been a year full of sales because the country's in an emergency. The economy's breaking down, but I want you to get your Ultimate Fish Oil, your Ultimate Turmeric Bodies Formula, your DNA Force Plus, your X2, your X3, your Ultra 12. I want you to get back in stock after being sold out for a year with the COVID shutdown. We couldn't get it. Alpha Power, it's all there discounted. And with promo code PATRIOT at checkout, you get an additional 10% off with the free shipping, everything else. Take advantage of it now at InfoWarsStore.com with promo code PATRIOT at checkout. That's promo code PATRIOT at checkout at InfoWarsStore.com, and it funds the InfoWar.
Washington.
You're unmuted.
hey, Jeff Zucker, are you there? Hey,
Yes.
This is James O'Keefe. We've been listening to your CNN calls for basically 2 months, recording everything. Just wanted to ask you some questions if you have a minute. Do you still feel you're the most trusted name in news? Because I have to say, from what I've been hearing on these phone calls, I don't know about that. I mean, we got a lot of recordings that indicate you're not really that independent of a journalist.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. So everybody, in light of that, I think what we'll do is we'll set up a new system, and we'll be back with you. We'll do the rest of the call a little bit later.
We're going to release those recordings today at 7 o'clock, so stay tuned. It's going to be fun.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah, you too. So you just heard me talk to the president of CNN, Jeff Zucker, and inform him that that we are going to release a number of recordings today. I unmuted myself into the conference line, and they're still on there. They're listening to me right now. This is being live streamed for those of you still on the call. And we've recorded for a while, and we have clips of various producers.
James
talking,
O'Keefe,
talking,
ladies and gentlemen, from Project
describing,
Veritas.
their
Did you
motives,
hear that, Tom? I love Jeff Zucker. He's like, okay, so I think in response to this, we're just going to have to go ahead and just have an entirely new system built for these phone calls. Jeff, Project Veritas is still going to get through, you idiot. But what do you make of that? I mean, James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, just doing it. They just never stop, man.
Well, I'll be excited to listen to their embarrassing conference calls. I mean, I've talked to folks who've heard these, and of course, I think Project Veritas leaked one about a year ago, and they're just the most pathetic thing you've heard in your life. You get Jeff Zucker acting like he is God incarnate, telling his servants what to do, and occasionally you'll get somebody who kind of raises their hand and says, "Hey, Jeff, can we talk about like this North Korea thing, or maybe this?" And Jeff will go, "Nine, thou will only talk about Trump." Like, I mean, he's an insane person. So it'll be greatly entertaining to listen to, and good for James O'Keefe to expose him. Now, second of all, hey, Jeff Zucker, if you happen to watch The War Room with Owen Schroyer, there's this great app called Discord, and you can actually see who is on the call with you. This can't be the only app like that. Slack, for example, has a similar functionality. Like, how stupid do you have to be to let just anybody dial into this Napoleonic conference call, because that's what it is, and not have a way to verify who's actually on the call? I mean, it's unbelievably dumb. But Owen, I guess that's our enemy. They're not bright people. They're just well-funded people.
Yeah, I was going to say, how bright is Jeff Zucker? Well, I mean, look who he puts on air. Brian Stelter, Oliver Darcy. I mean, good night.
Oh no, they are some of the dumbest people, and of course, the reason why Zucker loves Stelter is because Stelter never questions him. Stelter just goes out and repeats whatever the big man Jeff Zucker says. So no, this will be highly entertaining. I mean, you have the brown-nosing eunuch, you have the descendant of oligarchs with Anderson Cooper. I mean, it's absolutely going to be fascinating to listen to this and to see if some of the maybe lower-level journalists get smacked down by Zucker, because that's what it will be the fascinating part, when he tells the newbies who think that they're actually a news organization and not a mouthpiece for the globalist uniparty, when they get shut down for trying to do real news. I predict that will happen a lot in these phone calls.
Yeah, and there'll probably be more CNN whistleblowers that end up coming forward. I want to pivot now to the fake pandemic of COVID. A New York business owner was on Fox, and he was discussing the ongoing citations he receives for daring to open up his business. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is how you handle these illegal shutdown mandates and these illegal citations if you don't shut down and go into financial ruin. Here was the New York business owner properly responding to the illegal dictates of de Blasio and Cuomo on Fox News.
They also don't have the guts to answer why they get to draw a $225,000 salary for Governor Cuomo, and for Poland cars, a $103,000 salary, but the working man and woman doesn't get to earn. They get to take our money, but we don't get to earn. They don't have the guts to tell us that. That's the worst kind of leadership.
Your story is getting a lot of attention. We thank you for your service, and we'll continue to watch where this story goes. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Now, in fact, I'll even, let's cue in the crew here. Who remembers, what was this, guys? It had to be March when we went out when they first did the COVID lockdown, remember? And they gave us the citation that said, oh, you have to be locked down. And I did the stream and I ripped it up live on camera. Do you guys remember that? If the crew can find that footage, they are as great as people build them to be. But that's the response here, Tom. This is America. A tyrant tells you how to run your life. You give him the middle finger and you stick your boot up his ass. You tell him to buzz off.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, that is what America was founded on, after all. And it's so disconcerting, I guess, when you were there, when we were all in D.C. and you see the Democrat plantation sheeple just wearing the mask. They wear it when they're outside in an open air. It's horrifying.
Yeah, like you walk by some people, they're like, oh my gosh, they're not wearing masks? No, I'm not wearing a mask, bitch.
They panic. Half the restaurants contact trace, but then, I mean, you think about what Americans really are, and it's that guy living in the belly of the beast in New York, ripping these things up. Nobody's going to enforce this. All of this is based on your willingness to participate. Now, there's a couple caveats. You're not going to be able to eat at every restaurant. You're not going to be able to fly on an airplane, but for the most part, nobody actually enforces this crap. It's just because the American people have been trained for 100 years to play along with the tyrants.
Yeah, it's like even at the local gym I go to, it actually kind of depends on the staff. Like there's like 2 people on the staff that are just real mask Nazis and they won't let you have any fun. And the rest of the people just don't even care. They all think it's stupid too. But then, of course, you have the Democrats that go in there and, report. They literally will call people up. They'll call the health officials to go look in. But here's some of the latest headlines. This is an InfoWars exclusive, and there's going to be more coming from this. Breaking, hospital executive says second wave is a hoax. 90% of COVID beds are empty. Of course, I went to the local hospitals that they claimed were overwhelmed. They were totally empty, too. COVID-19 likely in the United States since mid-December 2019, CDC scientists report. And we had Super Bowls, hockey games, WWE WrestleManias, all the like. No spread, pro-life events, no spread, no death. It's all fake. And by the way, the death count is on par with every other year in America. And there's 0 flu and pneumonia death now, magically, too. L.A. County supervisor dines at restaurant hours after voting to ban outdoor dining. Another Democrat phony fraud. Belongs in prison. And now, Tom, lawmakers unveil bipartisan $900 billion coronavirus stimulus package as stalemate drags on. And it's actually the Democrats stopping this, but I don't want this anyway. Here's an idea. Reopen the country. Let America get back to their working jobs and earning their record high wages thanks to the Trump administration. This is out of control. It's all meant to crash our economy, Tom.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, it should be clear, and I think it is clear to more Americans than ever, that COVID from the start, I mean, I've heard October of 19 is when it first came to the United States. It's a political hoax. No, but the death rate, put it all aside. It's a political hoax. They went to Trump, who is a germaphobe. He doesn't even like shaking hands. He got over that so he could run for president. And they said, Mr. President, there's a dangerous superbug. We have to shut down the country. They did the one thing you could do to a germaphobe to make him go along. And as soon as they had him going along, they knew what was going to happen all the way back in March. They knew that they could use this for mail-in voting. They knew that it was an election year. They knew that the only drug, hydroxychloroquine, they knew that they could make people afraid to even look at it or say its name. This has all been a political operation from China and the top members of our society.
The greatest battle in